fifth mission of the semester, drift compatibility. So a couple quick announcements before we get started. We have membership. It's going to be $6 to pay for the whole semester. It'll get you discounts on stuff like t-shirts and keychains, and Starfest, which is coming up, and I'll get to that. And that'll be good. If you want to do that, talk to Tulio. We're also selling some other stuff. We're selling sodas. They're $1 a can. If you want to buy that, and all the proceeds go to the International Bipolar Foundation. We're also selling Valentines as a fundraiser for Valentine's Day. They're available also at Tulio if you have, or if you don't want to buy them here, we're in the SAU tomorrow and Wednesday.
Wednesday we're by the tiger statue.
I'm sorry, tiger statue tomorrow?
Tiger statue Wednesday.
Okay, tiger statue Wednesday. So our next big outing is going to be this Friday. We're going to go see Black Panther, the 7 p.m. showing at Regal Henrietta 18. If any of you need a ride, be sure to meet in the SAU lobby at 5:30 right then. If you're not going to the 7 o'clock showing, do not come to the carpool. We're only going to give people rides for the 7 o'clock showing.
I have a question. What if you have a car that you're willing to offer up?
Good question. We have a channel on Slack for away mission drivers. Yeah, it's a # away mission drivers.
Just join that, and then we will give do an ad channel and say, we need drivers. Tell us if you are available or not. Okay.
But while that's going on, and also for the rest of the weekend, Rudicon is going on, which is RWAG's convention. That's going to be going on for the whole weekend, from the 16th to the 18th. And as I'm sure all of you might be aware, RWAG is RIT's board game club. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. That's always a great time. Star is going to be there.
Yes.
We're going to be doing Artemis. We are going to be doing Artemis?
Yep.
Okay. We're doing Artemis, Spaceship Bridge Simulator. That's just going to be in the SAU all weekend. And after that, next month, we have Starfest, RIT's biggest sci-fi convention, the greatest thing ever to happen to RIT in the world.
Wow.
Woo!
Cameron said he's right.
One of the fancy events that we have going on at this amazing convention is a cosplay contest. And if Ava wants to.
Hello. Oh, okay. Ooh. Hello. Starfest is going to feature many things, including a cosplay contest. The cosplay contest is going to be run by Cosplay Troops, so it is legit. We are going to be providing prizes to the winners of the cosplay contest. So come to Starfest, enter the cosplay contest, maybe get a prize. It disappeared. Oh, thanks.
Welcome. So anyway, if you want to buy tickets right now, you can get them at Tulio. Once again, our wonderful ops officer. If you're, Stat Cash Stock Ops. And if you have a membership, you will be able to get a discount. Or if you want the absolute discount of coming to the con for free, volunteer. We need people to help run the con. So sign up. We should have the volunteer link on the Starfest website at starfest.ritstar.com. And if you sign up for 2 hours or more, you will have free admission to the con. So do that, please. It's good. But to prepare for Starfest, we have an event that our very own Zachary Yarrow is going to be hosting.
So every Starfest from the very beginning, even before it was called Starfest, a long time ago, like 5 years ago, with the Cantina, inspired by the Cantina from Star Wars. It's a big finale with music and food and lots of dancing. But not everyone knows how to dance. Not everyone knows great moves like the trash compactor and the Falcon in Flight. He's got it. If you want to learn moves like that to songs like I'm Han Solo, as well as other songs with choreography like some of the splatoon music we have on the playlist. Or if you want to learn dances that Ballroom Club teaches that you can use for a variety of dances that aren't just memes. Next Thursday, not Thursday of this week, but Thursday of next week, Thursday, February 22nd, right down there in the Fireside Lounge, some of us are going to be teaching those dances, and we'll help you get ready so you can look really cool at the canteen and have a bunch of people go, whoa, look, that person can dance.
What time is it?
It is 5:45 p.m.
Okay, so I can still do that and swing dance.
Yes, I intentionally have it early enough that it will not conflict with if you want to go to Brick City Boppers. And if you go there and you're like, man, this dancing stuff is fun. Yeah, Brick City Boppers, the R&D Swing Dance Club, meets like right after we end in this building. Yes.
All right. And last but not least, we have a new bylaw up for consideration. If you're a member, you can vote on it. Tulio is going to be sending a message to the Slack to give everyone a link to vote on it. But if you absolutely cannot vote through the Slack, then please let our bridge crew know, and we will give you a full link through another means.
Yes, the bylaw up for consideration, there's a link to it in the Slack right now. If you have not taken a look at it before, please take a look at it now. And there's also a link to vote. We ask that only paid members of Star vote. If you are not positive if you are a paid member, please talk to Tulio. He will let you know. We have a verification code on the form where you will be voting. The code is 0118. So you will have to put that at the bottom. It's on the board when we raise the screen. You'll be able to see it if you forget. Please vote before the end of this mission. It is important to us, and we hope that you like the bylaw and think it is a good addition to what we do.
Okay, so without further ado, I will hand this off to Cameron and allow him to begin this mission.
So while you guys are doing the bylaw voting, we're going to give you guys a couple minutes to do that. But in the meantime, if anyone still has a sort of duo that they think is drift compatible, there is a sign-up sheet here in the front of the room. We need just a couple more. So if you have a team, a duo of people that you know is just the best team in the whole world and could beat everyone else's butts, then please write them up on the sign-up sheet there at the front. If you're not quite sure exactly what drift compatibility means, but you know you have a good team, go ahead and sign that up. I will explain all about drift compatibility at the beginning so you can fine-tune your argument. But basically how the format is going to go is that one person is going to come up. They're going to talk about why their team is the best team for 2 minutes. And then their opponents will come up and talk about why their team is the best team for 2 minutes. And then there'll be 1 minute of rebuttal, followed by 1 minute of rebuttal. So that is pretty much going to be the format of it. We will give you guys a couple more minutes to look over and vote on the bylaw and to come up and write a team if you've got one in mind. And we will get started very shortly.
Also, if you come up with one after we talk about drift compatibility for a little bit, you are still welcome to come up and write them down. We have the sign-up sheet up here. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like, you know, pretty low-key, casual sort of thing. I promise no one's going to punch you. And if they do, we will punch them back a lot.
Yep.
Don't support punching.
That's my job. Do not support punching by punching. Get the 2 minute timer up on yours so that it can face people as they talk.
I like it.
Yes. 0118. Also, for those of you who are online watching, if you would like to fill out this form, please Slack message one of the bridge crew members directly. That includes me, Ava Enoch, but preferably Tulio Geraci, because he is not running this mission. And he will give you a link to people who are not present form and a different code to give you for that. So, hello, Internet.
The correct link is now in the Slack. Please use the one that I just posted. If the one that from before didn't work.
Oh, spooky.
Where do we access the voting? I mean, I see the bylaw, but which one?
Below that, the form.
There should be a,
The drive, the dock, the second dock.
yeah, the one that says, here's the correct link.
Right.
Yeah, that's it right there. The doc,
Which one?
the bottom one.
And it has
This
been
one.
pinned
Yep,
as
the pin
well.
one. That one there.
All right.
Wonderful, thank you.
What's the verification code again?
It is 0118, and when we pull this up, you'll be able to see it, but I did here right now.
Problem with the verification code is that when you type something out, it tells you it must be this.
It must be the code.
It tells you the exact code, so it makes it kind of pointless.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, well,
So it's like
Julio.
you need the password. By the way, the password is this.
don't
Okay.
point it out, I'll fix it.
Thank you for pointing it out. We will fix it. But that's why we asked for your email, because
What was the verification code again?
0118.
Wait, which email did you need it?
Your
Any-
RT.
Oh,
Or
whoops.
whatever your account is, whatever your membership is.
Crap, I just used the wrong
That's
email.
okay. That's okay. Does it have your name in
Is
it?
it like Logan King or something?
It's like my initials.
That's fine,
Yeah,
fine.
it's just to make sure that you're actually a paid member.
Yeah, I
It should
did
be
not.
fixed now.
Okay,
My
thank you.
paid membership is not linked by the account.
For like,
Error
slogan.
message. Otherwise, it just says,
Okay.
please input the correct code.
That's
And it gives you
dumb.
the code.
That's
It's like-
dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
Google Forms.
That's what I thought.
Maybe.
Because they used to do that on all the old treasure reports, so I changed it.
Oh,
You
Google
just
Forms
say-
is silly.
That's not the code, please input, like, here's the code. It's like, what they're. It should be all okay now.
Code. Why would it even tell you the code at the beginning?
The form is wrong.
Yes.
For the, Starfest, what are
As of right now, as of right now, we have a couple things. There are Batman patches, which I think I'm gonna pull for that, like a patch you could, I think iron on. There's a Phasma, height. I might not pull that for that, 'cause it's kind of a weird one. We have a small pool of prizes that we just sort of, so. They are mid-tier prizes.
I'm just curious.
Mhm.
Looking at
No, that's okay. That's okay. Oh, I think I'm gonna throw in one of the Jane hats that I made for a cosplay contest. That's. Oh. A winner.
Graceful.
Oh, geez. Okay. If you are still having an adventure with the form, the verification code is on the board. We are going to lift the board after this mini presentation. If you have any questions, concerns, please direct any questions to Tulio or Claire or John. They are all in that area. They can answer any of your questions. And thank you for participating in our bureaucracy break.
All right, in that case,
Gonna press buttons.
please press the buttons.
Yes.
If we get one more pairing, we got a perfect 8 for a nice clean bracket.
Ooh.
All right, do you get that? One more pairing, we need to round off this beautiful bracket. So if you have one that you're kind of like, put it in. Or if you get an idea while I'm talking about what drift is and a couple examples, you can put that on there as well. So the drift, it is it's also called the neural handshake. And it is the bind that enables pilots to manipulate the Jaeger's every movement. Basically what it comes down to is that two pilots, which are people who are piloting these giant robots, in order to pilot it with your standard movements, it's too much load for one brain and it would kill people. So in the Pacific Rim universe, they got two people and they would share the load with a left brain, left hemisphere, right hemisphere. They would control the robot together. And the drift is the way that these two brains sync up. And it totally immerses you in the other person's thoughts and experiences. And while your bodies remain separate, your minds act together as one. So we have a great visual representation of what the drift looks like.
This one?
Yes.
Good. Make it big. Oh, wait. Oh, did the volume give up again?
Yes, it did.
Oh no. Sometimes it mutes itself. I think there's ghosts.
Of course.
Like the scary ghost that makes the popping sound.
No? Is it?
Oh, wait. Is it just not?
Yeah, it's just not now.
Huh. Do you want me to reload?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, I figured it out.
Oh, what was it?
I
tab.
moved it up there so that it wouldn't yell at me at other times because my computer likes to yell.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. Okay. My bad, guys.
Oh,
Did not want.
Yeah,
Oh, it made me want.
I'm gonna take this side if you don't mind. My left arm's kind of shot.
Sure. Are you gonna say anything?
No point. In 5 minutes, you're gonna be inside my head. You look good.
And
A little handshake.
Initiating neural handshake.
We're not in the simulator now, Marco. Remember, don't chase the rabbit. Random access brain impulse triggers, memories. Just let them flow, don't latch on. Tune them out, stay in the drift. The drift is silence.
Okay, chips. Line it up nice. Better get ready.
All right, so that is just what the drift sort of looks like. And then we have one more video that is a little bit of a behind the scenes with Guillermo del Toro, talking about a little bit more in depth about the drift and what he was trying to accomplish with it.
It's unmuted this time.
Yay.
The bar.
Did you have a video going?
Nope. Maybe.
Turn off the gadgets.
Guillermo del Toro, and I'm here to show
Oh.
sneak peeks behind the scenes of Pacific Rim.
Pilot connection engaged.
Yes.
Look how awesome this movie is.
One of the very original ideas that have grown from this movie is the way the two pilots and the computer interact. Is through what we've come to call drift.
This is the draft.
He tried to come up with ways of showing that was original. In order for the two bodies to be able to act as one, they need to share memories, instincts, or findings to become essentially one. You're fused with the machine.
And a machine this large, the idea that one person can control the entire machine seems slightly too superhuman. The neural load to interface with the Jaeger proved too much for a single pilot. A two-pilot system was implemented. Left hemisphere, right hemisphere, pilot control.
Initiating launch operations.
I have a neural handshake.
Initiating neural handshake.
When you strap into the Jaeger, there's a preliminary stage where you try to sort of merge your consciousness with the other pilot.
When you drift with someone, you create an incredibly poignant connection. Both pilots can see all of each other's memories and all of each other's secrets and information in each other's brains.
Every memory, good, bad, everything, they become one. Two pilots engaged in neural bridge.
When you are drifting, you go into silence. You don't think. And you try to not latch into a memory.
You see exactly who they are. You can't hide it all in the drift.
You have to know that the other pilot is going to know everything about it, good or bad. You have to be prepared to let somebody literally peek into your soul, peek into your head.
All right, so hopefully anyone who was unclear coming into this has a pretty good idea about what being drift compatible means. And just finally, before we get into the audience part, I just want to go over a couple of examples from the movie. First of which is the Jaeger Cherno Alpha, which is piloted by Sasha and Alexis Klyonovsky. And they are a husband and wife team, and part of what makes this Jaeger so powerful is their determination. They're just absolutely just steadfast in everything that they do, and that reflects in their Jaeger and in their fighting style. Next is Chuck and Herc Hansen. They're a father and son team, and they pilot Striker Eureka, which is an Australian Jaeger. And these two are very aggressive, both in and out of their Jaeger, and they have a very forward fighting style that is a little bit flashy, but undeniably super effective. Next is the early iteration of Gypsy Danger, piloted by Yancey and Raleigh Beckett. These two are brothers. They grew up on the streets, and they had to protect each other a lot, and this transfers into their fighting style. It's a little bit more on the defensive side of things, but they get their jobs done most of the time. Yancey did die in combat, spoilers for the first 2 minutes of the movie, and then we get the second iteration of Gypsy Danger, which is piloted by Mako Mori and Raleigh Beckett. And you might notice that these are the first two that don't share a last name, and that's because you don't have to be related or married to the person. These two are just really good friends, and they just mesh well together naturally. In a very short period of time, they got really close, and proved to be an extremely effective kaiju fighting machine. They have slightly different styles, but they work together in come up with some really creative on-the-fly solutions. So that's it from our side of things. Ava, would you like to explain the Thunderdome rules? Oh, yes.
The reason you see so many pairs of pilots that are either siblings or family members or married couples is that there's a fact of the drift that they're not share memories you have with the person is what helps with strengthening the handshake connection.
That makes sense.
So being siblings, you grow up together, so either you're gonna have a lot of your memories together. Same thing with like you're married to someone, or if your partner's your father or mother or something along the lines.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yes, with that, we will take some. Are there any last minute signups?
We got a perfect date so far.
No, we don't.
Oh, we don't?
When was this removed?
Why?
All right, so we will.
Claire told me to.
We got one more.
Anyone into M Max?
Is there a reason?
Oh, I already got one.
We'll do the 8 just because we get a nice clean bracket that way.
Okay, I want to go early.
What? Okay, we'll put you in the first round.
You don't
No,
need
he
it.
doesn't need it.
No, we got it. We got one.
Oh, tough one.
Alrighty. The way that we are going to do this is that we are going to have Cameron. We are going to have the first person come up and say why their pairing is going to be real drift compatible. Then you're going to have them paired with another person. Are we doing explanation, rebuttal, or explanation, explanation?
Explanation, rebuttal, rebuttal, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have two people up. They're each going to give a 2-minute explanation of why their team is the most drift compatible. And then after each person goes, the first person will give a rebuttal and say why they are even better than the other person. And the other individual will also have an opportunity to rebuttal. These are all 2-minute chunks. 2 minutes is a limit, not a challenge.
Yep.
We're currently bracketing.
Yep. All right. So I just made some. So let's do.
There's a marker.
That's
not true.
Yes, it is. The bar is so low. All right. So let's do these two first.
Don't ninja wrong.
Mr. J, I'm so sorry. I'm literate. So just next to them and then we'll go.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, whoever put down Ash and Greninja and Simon and Kamina, please come up. Cameron, you're gonna get the timer set.
Yep. All right. So just on my computer here, I'll have a 2-minute timer. I will be watching this, but please also you watch it as well, so you know how much time you have left.
Maybe you could like have your pen or something, help them out.
I'll just
maybe at the last 30 seconds.
I'll say 30 when there's 30 seconds. All right. All right, can you see that one? Yeah. Okay. All right, and begin.
Yeah, so I'm the one for Ash Greninja. So it's more of a journey through how they became so interconnected rather than like the end result. So when Ash first met Greninja, well, Greninja's a Pokemon, so it was Froakie back then. Froakie rejected all the other trainers it was assigned to as a starter Pokemon, but it somehow chose, for some reason, it wanted to go with Ash, despite the fact that he wasn't even choosing it as a starter. So we sort of learned later that that Froakie had like pretty high standards for who he thought was worthy trainer to be with. And so sort of fast forward to the future. So when it's a Greninja, Greninja and Ash can form a bond where sort of they act as one in battle, and hard to explain exactly how that works, but they really needed to like practice a lot at this because it didn't work well at first. And it even came into like a disagreement sort of, and like a personal conflict along the way. So all of those challenges, and they were able to finally master the technique. So that's sort of the journey of how they became such an interconnected pair. And I don't know, does anyone mind if Pokemon XY spoilers? They had to leave each other because Greninja had to sort of defend the world. So that was sort of a tear-jerky, so that was sort of a tear-jerky, like, leaving, but yeah.
All right, great timing. All right, so.
Just a quick reminder before we do the next one, no major spoilers, you were fine. We appreciate if you are going to spoil something that you don't think is a big deal, you politely ask the room, and if people go, don't do it.
All right. Can you see this well enough?
Yeah.
All right, 2 minutes.
Clear.
Start now.
Okay, so Simone and Kamina are from the anime Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Basically, Simone and Kamina both grew up in this underground village together. Kamina may not be related to blood to Simone, but Kamina sort of acted as a big brother to Simone for most of their life, and then they had to start the plot when a giant robot known as a gunman came down. He was there to protect them, and then he and Simone both ended up piloting their own gunmen to fight them, and then from there they traveled throughout the world trying to liberate all the people trapped in the underground villages. And basically in the world of Gurren Lagann, passion is what drives these next power, and the combined passions of Simone and Kamina blow all their enemies away. They are the most compatible pair of pilots in the series. Simone's piloted with 2-3 other people, but he was always the most passionate with Kamina. And slight spoilers for episode 9 of Gurren Lagann. Anyone?
Don't do it. I know what you're referring to.
I won't say much more.
But an important thing.
Yeah, important thing. Their relationship ends up coming to. Basically, even when they are separated, their combined mutual respect and brotherly love just carries them throughout the entire series. And that's all I have to say on the matter without diving into heavy spoilers.
All right. So, Ash and Greninja, you have a 1-minute rebuttal to discuss specifically why Ash and Greninja are more drift compatible than Simon and Kamina. All right.
So I guess the biggest thing is that despite the sort of trainer and Pokemon relationship, it wasn't really, I don't know. For Simone and Kamina, it was like Kamina always sort of took the lead and then Simone followed, sort of. You kind of get that. So I feel like that sort of hurts the like symbioticness perhaps a little bit. Whereas, sorry.
No, take your time.
So like Simon couldn't provide as much of his own like feedback towards when they were working together because Kamina was so like stubborn and stuff. So I guess that's my main thing.
All right.
My counter argument to Ash and Greninja is that.
Can you wait till we?
Started.
Yeah, I already started here. Here's just restart.
So my rebuttal is that Ash has had many previous Pokemon companions all throughout the series, starting from the Indigo League all the way up to the Alola region. I mean, we have famously Caterpie, Charizard. I'm not as familiar with generations 2 through 4, but point is he's had many different Pokemon companions throughout the entire series, and while he's had strong bonds with many of them, there are not enough shared memories between all of them to have this sort of what's the term for the
drift compatibility?
Drift compatibility. The drift compatibility is based on so much of memory that the short amount of time they spent together may not allow for a stronger drift compatibility.
All right. So we're just going to vote by show of hands. I'm just going to raise them, and I'm just going to count them, and then whoever gets the most votes, we'll move on to the next round. So first, votes for Ash and Greninja. You can only vote once, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Votes for Simon and Kamina. More than 5. All right. Thank you both for arguing your sides. So next we will go top down on the bracket. So Echo and Fives and Cap and Bucky, please come to the front.
Is it fives?
Yeah, it's Fives.
I just can't read.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
That's fires.
I thought it said fires.
Then we get an opportunity for our audience.
Well, I mean, Echo also has that special relationship with fire.
Yes, on the final round.
Yeah, we can have questions and all that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
we'll start that. You want to start that like semifinals and finals?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that semifinals and finals.
I know, I just noticed everything.
It's hard.
Okay, you guys ready? So first, Echo and Fives, right? Yeah. And then Captain Bucky?
Sure.
Okay, all right, so Echo and Fives, you can take the first round.
So what do you think when you hear the phrase blood is thicker than water? You usually think that, the bonds of family are stronger than the bonds of friends. But in fact, the opposite is true. The phrase actually means that the bonds you forge in the battlefield as literally drawing blood is better than any familiar bond ever. But with the Soul Echo Fives, they have both because they're literally clones of the same person. So they are literal brothers and they have fought alongside each other throughout the Clone War together. They have shed blood themselves. So that's why I think that they will be a very good survival pair for the sole fact that they are the best of friends. They are brothers in both the literal and figurative sense. And as clones, they share the same mind, and they also share a lot of the same experience. That's my...
Okay.
Ready to start, are you?
All right.
It's not a challenge.
All right. All right. Cap and Bucky.
All right, well, as our first officer had once said long ago, war buddies. All right, Captain America and Bucky Barnes. They've been friends for a long time, like 70 years long. More than that. They've been friends since they were kids. All right. They've always had each other's backs. And they were a cohesive unit during World War II and even after that. So they're always with each other to the end of the line. They fight as a unit. What? Yeah. Even Captain America even goes so far to turn back towards his Avengers team in the side of Bucky in Civil War. They are a great unit, and I'll also kind of start too.
All right. Wow. Speed round. All right. So Echo Fives, 1 minute rebuttal.
On the topic of war buddies, Echo Fives are also war buddies. They're not war buddies, they are war brothers. They are literally, like as I said before, brothers in both a literal and figurative sense. They fought many battles together, and they were with each other until the end of the line. As you said before, I actually didn't even mean to say that because that was a quote from Civil War. So, honestly, like at the end of the day, like Echo and Fives will literally give their lives for each other, and like they gave their life. They would give their lives for the other down on the squad that are. So I hear what this is. Not really spoilers. It's like the first episode you meet them, they all die. But that's all I have to say. So.
All right, and then Captain Bucky, your 1 minute.
For Echoes and Fives, I don't think they work. They're not so much of a unit, like a duo themselves. Like we've seen in future installments that they honestly at most they kind of work better alone in the sentence. We kind of see that with Fives. Captain America and Bucky Barnes, they do a pretty good. They collaborate pretty well with one another. The two of them are able to take on Iron Man, and in a really great choreographed fight scene.
15.
And those two who are all, and even though they might not be relatedly brothers, they grew up with each other as kids. So in terms of memories and bonded, they practically have the same relationship as Echoes and Fives.
All right. So once again, show of hands. For Echo and Fox. Seven. And then for Cap and Bucky.
Would Gabby even need a partner to find a Jaeger?
Yeah.
Yeah. 6, 7, 8. Oh, Cap and Bucky by very close.
I thought I was gonna lose it there.
All right, great round.
Oh, by the way, so we say our Jaeger's names.
Oh yeah, if you want to say your Jaeger's name.
Before you go, what's your Jaeger name?
Oh, yeah, if you want.
They just care, but they're called the Fallen Domino. Domino Squad.
And through the Joe's suggestion, my Jaeger is the Howling Commando.
And then, what was your Jaeger name?
Astro Ninja is sort of the name of, like with a hyphen in it, that's why I wrote it like that. So that's sort of the name when they're singular. So that's sort of.
And then, what was the Simon and Kamina? Did you come up with the Jaeger name?
Simon and Kamina, I chose the name Burning Drill for obvious reasons.
Rad. Yes, Claire?
I didn't think
I thought I was gonna lose
I
there.
through my submission.
Yeah, sure. We'll figure it out.
Bonus round.
What is it?
Sheamus and Cesaro from WWE.
You guys don't point so I don't spell it wrong in there.
All right.
Here, just put it at the bottom.
So while Claire puts in her last minute, is there one more last minute entry? Sure.
Awesome.
All right. So while they write down, can I get Mac and Dennis and Troy and Abed?
Oh boy.
Sci-fi.
You too?
Match on the list.
You too?
Oh my, just you take it.
Here again? In my house?
We have fun.
I know. Thank you for being here. You're required to be here.
All right. Okay. So we will.
A question before you start: how do Mac and Dennis react to seeing a scientist who looks like exactly like Charlie?
Important questions.
Charlie, when did you get so smart? Yeah, what's this guy talking about? Okay. All right. So Mac and Dennis. Well, first of all, what's the name of the Jaeger?
The Golden God.
And then Troy and Abed.
The Kick Punch.
Okay. Oh boy.
All right, Mac and Dennis, your 2 minutes start now.
All right. So first off, they're codependent. They live together. They're the best of friends. They're probably the closest thing that really passes to friends in their show. They've spent all of their time together since high school. All of their time together. And they are very successful business partners. So they all go through all their misadventures together, and they share a lot of their experiences together. And I think that would make them very drift compatible. I kind of went through that lightning fast, but
that's okay.
All right, time. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Troy and Abed, your time begins now.
So, what is a community? Is a group of friends or family who come together with one purpose. Troy and Abed's purpose is to have fun. And fun is what they do. They are two of the closest friends I've ever had the honor of knowing on a screen on TV. In season 1, I learned that Troy and Pierce Hawthorne were supposed to be the duo. They even sat on the same side of the table. It's true. Read it up. It's on the internet. It's true. But because Troy and Abed had such good chemistry together, the writers were like, and they just had to make Troy and Abed the power couple. Who are Troy and Abed, you ask? Troy is the high school star quarterback before his horrible cake flip accident. And Troy and Abed is Abed. He's weird. He's great. I love him. And together, they are a complete unit. Troy even goes as far as to admit that Abed is his other half, and that just shows how powerful that their connection was, even as early as season 1. If you look to later in season 2, you see that early on, Annie had a crush on Troy that she got over pretty quickly because she learned that she literally could not compete with Abed. Annie Edison could not compete
with Abed Nadal. That is a sign of a powerful friendship. In terms of their compatibility, literally, Abed wrinkles Troy's brain. They literally feel the same thoughts, think the same things. They had a pillow fort together. They watched countless kick puncher movies together. For Halloween, Troy dressed as the main character of Aliens, the second one, in the giant robot suit. He was and Abed played the alien. It was amazing.
Can I ask a quick question?
What series is this from?
Community.
So you mentioned the pillow fort, but you failed to mention the pillow war.
That will be part of my rebuttal in a minute.
All right. So 1 minute. Mac and Dennis begins now.
All right, so I know very little about Community, but in my about 5 minutes of studying their page on the wiki, I've come to the conclusion that although Troy and Abed are very close friends, they are not diagnosed friends. Mac and Dennis, conversely, have this very deep relationship that goes deeper than brothers, such that I do not believe that there was ever a point in which Troy and Abed ever shared such an intimate moment as when Mac told Dennis the very loving compliment, "Your hair looks small." I rest my case.
Okay.
Objection.
All right. Troy and Abed, 1 minute begins now.
Speaking of codependent partners, Troy and Abed are quite inseparable. Earlier was brought up the Pillow Fort War. This indeed happened. It was a very dark time in history. However, they broke down those walls. Both Pillow Fort and Blanketville were both destroyed in the name of friendship. There may have been a bloody and long war between those two, but in the end, they came out stronger for it. They had multiple fights. They had the Great Lava War of Season 5. They had the Paintball Wars of Season 1, 2, 3, and 4. And every single time, they came out of it stronger, better, and more of a cohesive unit. In terms of Mac and Dennis, they are indeed diagnosed codependent friends, but I fail to see how wholesome their relationship is. I honestly see a lot of tearing down between the two of them. It's a very, very unhealthy thing. Whereas Troy and Abed, literally until the end, they were the best. I rest my case.
All right.
I think I should win because he's been going over time.
We vote for neither of them.
All right.
have to vote.
So, let's start
be honest,
votes
I vote for either of them.
So, Mac and Dennis, votes. Okay, Troy and Abed, more than 2.
I figured I would keep you on the page.
All right. Yeah. Well, we need to have a powwow.
I'll fix it later.
All right. So next, Statler and Waldorf versus Tedson, Ron, and Dex. All right. What is the name of Statler and Waldorf, Jaeger?
Balcony seat.
And what are your characters' names?
Chilk and Ronan Dex from Stargate, and they're the Gate Crasher.
The Gate Crasher.
Could we hear what the first one is from?
Puppets.
Of course.
Would there be anything else?
All right.
Water.
So 2 minutes for Statler and Waldorf begins now.
War buddies in the war against mediocre comedy. Statler and Waldorf are really, really, really old, and yet they've been together for a very long time. So long that in a Twitter Q&A, they were asked, who were the first people you heckled? And Statler said, I first heckled my parents. And Waldorf said, I also first heckled Statler's parents. They are so in sync that they can come back to like anything with a joke. They like improv the joke. But they're so in sync that they improv the same joke in such a way that one of them gives the setup and one of them gives the punchline without communicating at all. They are already in each other's minds. They are always together. Literally in Disney World, they are nailed to the seats right next to each other, and that is
They say that. They say that they're glued to the seats. They say that they can't move. They are just permanently stuck there for over a decade. Oh, just like they're conversing, and yeah, I'll leave it for that for now. See? Okay.
Multiple decades, John.
All right. In Disney World.
Oh, okay.
So was it Tenek? Teuk
And Ronan.
And Ronan. All right. Starts now.
Even though they are only seen together in one episode, they had to deal with a lot of different war problems and their each respective galaxies. Teal'c being over 150 something when he first starts dealing with things, and then with Ronan being used and abused by very powerful aliens. When they come together, they're trying to figure out how to help Ronan deal with some of the issues of human life on Earth and everything else. And in doing so, they share a lot of their past history, a lot of their past struggles, and then they have to take on an entire base filled with extremely powerful race, where they didn't even have to think or communicate. They just acted. With both of their combined knowledge of fighting as well as their combined knowledge of warfare, they just wiped the entire building clear without really having to say too much to each other other than just good job or indeed. And
all right. So 1 minute rebuttal from Statler and Waldorf begins now. In the 2015 show, The Muppets on ABC, there was a single episode in which Statler, by some antics caused by Fozzie Bear, ends up in the hospital. It is the first plot line centered around Statler and Waldorf, and we, for the first time, see the truly human side of these Muppets, which is the Muppet side of these Muppets. Not human, but more humanistic, and their emotions, and how they actually connect, and how they actually care about each other. And, you know, they're usually all joking, but when one of them's hurt, they stick together. They are strong. They have been together for their entire very, 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 very long lives. And they are just so connected and always there in the fight against Fozzie Bear's comedy. All right. 1 minute for Teal'c. Teal'c, I'm getting closer. All right, Teal'c.
no, teal, like the
Teal.
color.
Oh, Teal. Teal'c.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, the last time. Well, no, maybe not the last time. If you would, Teal'c and Ronan.
All right. So, unfortunately, I have to point out the fact they sit. They do nothing but sit and complain and heckle and complain and sit
together.
But they sit. They don't really know too much action other than with their mouths. The Ronan and Teal'c, they are nothing but action. They cannot sit still. They have to fight. They have done nothing but fight their entire lives. They have, though they may have heckled their entire lives, you don't really see them move unless they are moved. They do not get up. They just sit, watch, and talk. And talk. And talk. You need action, not just mouth.
All right. So votes for Statler and Waldorf. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, and then for Teal'c and Ronan. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
My fiance.
Wow, what a shocker.
5-minute-long words and stories, dreams, and memes are the most influential of any.
Hey, we've had more absurd pair ups. We had like last year was like vetted like Crimson Riders who already had like 10 seconds. It's true. For 20 movies.
All right, everybody. If I could have Seamus and Cicero and Jesse and James. All right. So what is the name of Seamus and Cicero's Jaeger?
The bar.
Okay.
That'll be explained later.
Okay. All right. And Jesse and James. Double trouble. All right. So Seamus and Cicero begin. Cesaro.
So, for those of you who don't know, Sheamus and Cesaro are WWE World Wrestling. They're wrestling tag team champions. So they first met up in 2000. They were fighting against. They were rivals in 2016 during the WWE draft, where they were split up between SmackDown and Raw. So they both wanted to go to SmackDown, but only one of them could. So they were pitted against each other as rivals because Sheamus is like the Irish guy. He's got a really red hair and a huge mohawk. And Cesaro is the Swiss Superman. So they're like, let's pit the Europeans together. But then through that, they found out that, hey, those guys are a bunch of dicks. So let's fight together. And they became tag team, and then they became the tag team champions. And they are honestly the best together. Their like entrance is like the Dragon Ball Z fusion dance, so obviously they are very in sync. That's all I got.
All right.
I'll explain the other stuff in my rebuttal.
All right. So Jesse and James begins now.
Right. So Jesse and James, of course, are the greatest villains in the Pokemon anime, and I think it's safe to say that they're together because they have been there since episode 1, trying to catch episode 2. Try to catch Ash's Pikachu, and they do absolutely everything together. They have a theme song that they can say in unison and finish each other's sentences. They can always count on each other to produce whatever miraculous techno gadgets and items that they need at any given point. And no matter how many times they may seem to quarrel, at the end of the day, they always pull together in the name of trying to capture Pikachu. And no matter how many times their plans get foiled, they always manage to come back together and start again the next day, just as they've been before. They never give up. They never are seen apart from each other. They're always willing to try new things. And they're pretty, and I think they'd be pretty good at piloting a mech because they're virtually indestructible, considering they survived being electrocuted and then flung miles through the air on a regular basis like every other episode. So in conclusion, I think that this is something that they'd be very, very good at.
All right. 1 minute rebuttal from Seamus and Cesaro begins now.
So Jesse and James, they're the team, but when have they ever, how often do they actually succeed? So they work together a lot, but when do they actually complete their mission? Not very often. Sheamus and Cesaro, on the other hand, made it and became the WWE Tag Team Champions on Monday Night Raw. And they kept that title for, I think, 2 months. So they are able to keep it together. They succeed in their mission all the time. So they don't just set the bar, they are the bar.
Oh, God.
That's it.
Wow. All right. 1 minute rebuttal.
Okay, so you do make a good point. It's true that Jesse and James don't usually succeed in catching Pikachu, but think of all the other stuff that they've done over the course of the series.
Mm-hmm.
They've, built giant balloons and submarines and hand grenades and all kinds of other stuff. Whatever they wanted or needed at the time, they all succeed in finding it. And when it comes time for them to actually do things that are good, they seem to do a much better job for the most part, like in the second Pokemon movie, which implies that maybe that it's not their lack of skill as such that prevents them from catching Pikachu, but rather something else that might not have anything to do with them at all. Also, your guys have been a thing since 2016, but Jesse and James have been a picture of every kid's childhood since the 90s. So they seem to have much more of a relationship, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, like on the bar of how often you've succeeded.
All right, time. All right, so votes for Seamus and Cesaro. Okay, hold on. Okay, all right. Vote. All up. Final answers. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then Jesse and James. 7, 8, 9. Oh, another really
See,
close
if it
one.
was Jesse James and Meowth piloting a triple Jaeger,
Triple Jaegers are off the menu. I didn't include Crimson Typhoon for a reason.
Sucks.
Disappointed.
So how is the? So is there gonna be like a free? Like,
So
debate after?
I'm going to, if anyone wants to do a double last minute challenger approaches from the back corner.
Not you, John.
I will come back with a different team. Is there anyone who hasn't been up yet who wants to? They get a free buy into the. Are these the semifinals? Yeah. No. It would have been, but now it isn't. So gets a free buy. Okay.
Okay. I think. Okay. I just.
Can we?
Oh yeah, you guys can go.
Thank
you.
So for a new pair.
Yeah, a new pair.
Okay.
Again,
from the rafter, like
you would be against Justin James.
Yeah, you're going right into the. Okay. So you don't have to go up now. You just tell them what it is then.
Okay. Oh, how do I?
Yeah, time to think about
what's the pair?
It is Scot-Free Mr. Miracle and Big Barda.
From
DC Comics.
The New Gods.
Okay.
The fourth world, Jack Kirby.
How spell? Help.
Miracle. Miracle. ACLE. And Big and BARDA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Bard is fine.
All right. So we're gonna go top to bottom, so you'll be back in at the end. Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So the entering these like kind of almost semifinals, a little bit maybe. The way the format's going to work, except for the new challenger will have their 2-minute introduction and begin rebuttal. But for the rest of these, we already know what the characters are. You have hopefully been paying attention to everyone else that you will be fighting against. So you will just have 1 minute.
Come down to this, friend.
So you will have 1 minute to launch directly into your rebuttal. It will then be open for questions on the floor. We will have a 4-minute question and answer section, or if it ends early, it ends early. All right, so 1 minute rebuttal beginning from Captain Bucky, and start.
So Simone and Kamina, they have a great bond. That is true. However, it's kind of a one-way support. Kamina brings some support towards Simone, but Simone doesn't really offer much towards Kamina itself. And if they're going to be compatible, they got to both be on equal terms. And when Simone does do his best, it's not when Kamina's around. So it's great that they have this good bromance, but they don't really. But it's really a one-way street. Well, Captain Bucky, they both bring out the best out of each other in a way. As I said already with their fights.
15.
So Evan Bucky, they've been through a lot, probably a lot more than Simone Kamina has, and they're gonna keep moving forward.
Time. All right, 1 minute rebuttal begins now.
I may not be too familiar with Marvel or the MCU, but I do recall that the second Captain America film is about the Winter Soldier, who is the villain of that film, who I believe, if my memory serves me, is Bucky Barnes. And sure, they may have got together for Civil War to go up against Iron Man, though I do believe having some kind of conflict between each other like that may dampen. And since drift compatibility is about not latching to memories, if there's bad blood between these guys, wouldn't that cause a malfunction in the Jaegers? Or at least prohibit them from fully getting through their drift, whereas Kamina and Simone have such a tight bond, very little gets in between them. They are practically inseparable.
And time.
Are we under rebuttal after rebuttal or now?
No questions.
All right. So 4 minute question begins now. I will pick the question.
Just I guess kind of following up what you said about Bucky. Cap did spend the entirety of Civil War trying to get Bucky back, or Winter Soldier as well. So he never had any bad blood within the start when he found out it was actually Bucky. So
Please phrase your comments as questions.
In fact, the relationship, I would say, even improved more when the identity was revealed. And the fact that after after Bucky Barnes saw Captain America realized Bucky Barnes, that's when Bucky Barnes started to come back to becoming Bucky Barnes.
Another brief moment of clarification is that I paused the timer. Don't worry. You guys at the stage will have 15 seconds to answer. I will keep track of the clock, and I will say 5 when it's 5. But questioners, you can address one for 15 seconds or both for 15 each. Cool? All right. Resuming question time.
So this one is a question for Cap and Bucky. So Cap and Bucky are definitely really good friends and have been really good friends for a long time, but there is an issue with Bucky's mind. How would you handle if a kaiju somehow managed to discover Bucky's magic word and speaks it?
Well, as soon as if kaijus can speak English and then can understand English, then maybe. But as we saw at the end of Civil War, they're fixing that. And if we can go by the Avengers Infinity War trailer, sorry, Joe.
Time.
Never mind. No spoilers for you.
All right. Next question, Zachary.
Along the same lines, in our possibility of kaiju speaking English, we learned, obviously, in Winter Soldier that Bucky had been brainwashed and tortured and whatnot. And we learned in Civil War that we really don't know the extent of what they did to him. I don't know, how can we count on that nothing was done to his brain that would prevent it from properly interfacing with the Jaeger or allowing him to drift with Cap?
Well, I did the Jaeger. It's like, based on what we looked at Civil War, primarily a lot of who Bucky Barnes was still remains intact. He still has those memories. He still has that identity. Yes, it has problems, but
lightning round. All right, Kyle.
So this is for Simone and Kamina. So when they're together, Simone is quite a bit younger than Kamina, and it's shown that when Jaeger pilots are compatible, they have to be also physically compatible. So how would you address this sort of situation, considering the age difference?
Good question. Though both do end up growing up over time. By the end of the series, Simone is a full adult and comes into his own person even more, which he takes after some of the same ideals of his big bro comic.
Next.
Is Steve and Bucky relationship of Earth 616 or Earth 199999, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay. There's way too much comic mumbo jumbo for me to make a proper argument.
Okay.
Otherwise, I could just really just make up anything and you wouldn't believe it. That was one of my comic books.
Be nice to people. All right. Any more questions?
Do either of you believe that your teammates are in love?
Okay. 15 seconds. Go.
Yes, and there's proof of that. The Russo brothers, when they were promoting Civil War, they said in an interview that Captain America, that half of Civil War is a romance movie between Captain America and Bucky Barnes. Look it up. It is the actual thing they said.
15 now.
As for that argument, I'll let the fanfic and fan art.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Is there one more question? Okay, we'll go into voting. Cap and Bucky. $12. And then Simon and Kamina. 1, 2, 3. All right, that is Cap and Bucky.
Well done.
That was a good
Oh
boy.
boy, that was awesome.
Yeah. We're gonna do a 3-person showdown at the end. That's how it has.
Well, then we end up with a 3-person showdown last season.
Yeah, we did.
All right, Troy Abed and Salar Wooler. All right. Same format as before. Both of you should have been paying attention over the course of the entire presentation, so you guys should be familiar with your opponents. It will begin with Troy and Abed with 1 minute rebuttal, and then Salar and Wooler with their 1 minute rebuttal. Okay? So Troy and Abed begins now.
So Joe, why do they hate fun? Don't answer that. So, Troy and Abed are some of the most wholesome people I've seen on television in the show Community, and Statler and Waldorf are literally the most hateful people I've ever seen. Do you want to vote for hatred? Do you want to vote for being mean, for being unfun, for being rude? That's a vote for Joe. But a vote for Troy and Abed is a vote for fun, for creativity, for exploring your inner child, and for minorities. So, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So that's all my talking for today, and I'm gonna wrap it up with that.
Okay. 1 minute rebuttal begins now.
Troy and Abed are young. Their relationship is just starting. It is definitely possible to build a strong foundation in that time. But Statler and Waldorf had that exact same foundation and then decades upon decades to build on it. And to answer your question, no, they don't hate fun. Heckling is fun to them. It is the ultimate fun to them. It is what drives them to keep them going. And it is why they can heckle those kaijus back into the ground, hanging their heads in shame, back to where they came. And neither of them disappeared on a boat for a few years.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Whoa, that is close. Okay. So, just like last time, it will be 4 minutes, question and answer. I will sweep the room this time as opposed to this way, as opposed to this way, and then you two will have 15 seconds to respond to questions. So 4 minutes begins now.
We've seen Troy's effectiveness in dealing with high stress increases, like me. I can't think of his name, but so how would he handle actually like fighting a kaiju with Abed?
You see, this is where them as a pair comes together because they complement each other in the ways that other lacks. Abed is as cool and calm as collected as you possibly can, to the point of maybe not even having emotions. So, by putting them together, despite the fact that Troy's crying, Abed can do it.
All right. Okay, moving.
Okay, so in Community, we saw Troy's difficulty to dealing with the way Abed's mind worked. Mentioned when he commented on not understanding Abed, but also visualized in some of the episodes where Troy didn't quite grok the whole Dreamatorium thing. Do you have concerns that Troy might have similar issues grokking Abed's mind if he is literally in it?
So concerning the Dreamatorium, that's actually a really good example of how the both of them have used their combined brain powers to create worlds and imaginations and universes, so it's good to bring up. And in terms of that, I don't have an answer.
Okay, John?
This one's for Statler and Waldorf.
Yes.
Answer me this, Joe. How can Statler and Waldorf pilot a Jaeger if they're glued to their chair?
No, the ones in Disney World are glued to the chairs. The ones in the movies are perfectly capable of doing anything. We've seen them walking around Muppet Studios. We've seen them flying around as ghosts. We've seen them on the front of a pirate ship. We've seen them in the Enchanted Forest. We've seen them everywhere.
All right, roping back, Noah.
If we see them flying around as ghosts, how can they pilot a Jaeger if they're dead?
Because they're not dead. They were playing a role, and when I say a role, they together were playing the single role of Jacob Marley. That is how in sync they are. That the two of them play a single role in the classic Charles Dickens.
All right, moving back over.
Statler and Waldorf. What was their review? What do you think their review of Pacific Rim was?
I mean, probably negative. I mean,
disqualified.
I don't have the same improv comedy skills as they have, but I'm sure they would have something clever to say to that.
All right, Max.
Would the puppets even fit in the back?
Of course. They're like that big.
I mean, would they? Okay, then they're not large enough.
Max are custom made.
That seemed like the weirdest one ever.
Okay, bouncing back.
I have a really funny question.
Okay, I like this. For which one?
Perspective. A Muppet, which is controlled by a person, is now controlling a robot. So the question is, how meta do you want to go?
I can pull out the Muppet canon presentation. We can go through it. I can't do it in 15 seconds, but we can do this. what level on Muppet Canon are we? And even when we're talking about the Human Formers, Jim Henson and Richard Hunt are also pretty close, so they can do it too.
Okay, moving.
Quick question for both. What strategy would your pilots employ for fighting kaiju monsters?
Okay. 15 begins now.
As I stated earlier, they would just heckle the monster right back into the ground. That is their go-to strategy. They would just tell that kaiju. They would just make fun of that kaiju. They would critique its kaiju destruction powers, and it would go back into the ground, hanging its giant monster head in shame.
Time. All right. Now.
So, like I mentioned, this Jaeger, the kick puncher, from the top. A kick, and from below, punch. Don't ask me how, it just happens. That's how good they are. Troy and Ovid are a masterclass of Jaeger pilots.
All right, one more question from Logan.
I'm still in our question. Do you ship them?
Okay,
Yes.
15 begins now.
No, they both have a shared mutual love for heckling, not for each other. But they accept that they just have that both have that love for heckling.
Okay.
There is a lot of community that I would love to go through with you about how Troy and Ovid are clearly soulmates for each other. I cannot go through that because it's a lot, but please believe me when I say absolutely.
All right, and that concludes time. So we will move into the voting. Voting for Statler and Waldorf. You threw off my count. Come on. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And then for Troy and Abed. 6. Ooh, okay. It goes to Statler and Waldorf.
I'm making up for losing to Beth and Jerry last year.
Or you had Howard the Duck, Joe.
All right, and then for our final of the semifinals, Jesse and James and Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. Okay, because this was a double last-second emergency run-in, Mr. Miracle and Barda will have 2 minutes to introduce and give a bit of a, you have 2 minutes to introduce and rebuttal, and then you will have 1 minute to rebuttal. Okay, is that fair?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so your 2 minutes begins now.
Mr. Miracle and Big Barda are both of the fourth world outside of the three-dimensional multiverse. Thus, they are four-dimensional beings and created by Jack Kirby during the 70s. And Big Barda is one of Darkseid's furies of Apocalypse, but she eventually stepped away from Granny Goodness, the orphan adopter, because one of them is going to rebel. Scott Free was sold off to Darkseid in a deal between Highfather and Darkseid, the two father figures of the two sides at war with each other between the new gods. But Scott Free, as his name implies, escaped Apocalypse, and he and Barda have a most mutual romantic relationship, which has gone so far as a means to be so dynamic that even when they're attempting to get through New Genesis's guardsmen, they're taking care of it so seamlessly they don't even have to discuss their strategy. They just discuss laundry they do on Earth. While they are in combat and traversing through the New Genesis facility. And when Scott Free is doubting his ability to escape anything, Big Barda slaps him in the face, sends him to the ground, and says, "Stand." Just as Orion did prior, but Orion failed to. And Big Barda trying to do the same, Scott questions, saying, "Barda," and she says, "Stand." And thus they stand, they enter the boom tube to New Genesis.
All right, and then 1 minute rebuttal from Jesse and James.
Okay, so if both of your characters are gods, I'm not exactly sure how they could pilot a giant robot, even if they are synced up. I'm pretty sure that you have to actually be able to fit in a giant robot before you can pilot it. And in addition, like, these characters might be close, but are they so close that they could, what's the word?
Drift.
Yeah, are they so close that they could remain together even after they've been electrocuted and blown up and flung several miles away, and then get right back up the very next day and do everything again?
15.
I don't think so. That's
All right. So we will go into the 4-minute question and answer with 15-second response times. All right. I will move this way across the room, and 4 minutes begins now. Okay.
Since Lucas's pairing is in fact a canon couple, question is, are you a supporter of rocket shipping?
Yes.
All right. Brief. I like it. Moving forward.
So this is for you. So drift compatibility requires connects the brain to each other and share one's mind.
Yeah.
Don't Jesse and James need a brain in order to connect?
Okay. They obviously have a brain because they're able to live in the first place. Everyone has a brain
10.
because you need a brain to function. So yes, they do have a brain. The thinking part is a bit smaller.
All right. Continuing.
I don't know if I caught your Jaeger's names. What are they?
Oh.
Mine is double trouble.
Mine is escapade accelerant.
Not bad. All right. Any more questions? Joe.
What do gods need with a starship? Did I say a starship?
No, it's a reference.
Oh.
What do gods need with a Jaeger?
Well, they do use tools. They wear clothing. I mean, they use tools. Big Barda wears a headpiece for
10.
armor. So there has to be some use for a Jaeger that can be retrofitted for them.
All right. Moving back. Okay.
All right, this is a serious question now for both of you. I don't think your two characters, both of your pairs butt heads with each other often not. How can we be dependent on them riding a Jaeger if they're going to be butting heads?
Okay. 15 seconds starts now.
Well, they may fight sometimes, but they're able to pull together when it counts, and they do accomplish a lot of things
10.
when they actually do get along. So I think they can make it work if the world was a major.
Right, 15 now.
Mr. Miracle and Big Barda have had the most passionate of love and coitus that
10.
I don't
really
think
need to add that second
Jesse and James
Time.
have necessarily shared, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Moving back. Okay. Any more questions? All right, we'll call it. And move into the voting. So first, voting for Jesse and James. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then voting for Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Jesse and James.
So is this going to be a triple now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there will be if.
Stop looking, and that's just turned into 1S.
All right, so if Cap Bucky, Stetler, and Waldorf, and Jesse and James could all come to the front of the room, there will be a 1 minute and 30 seconds with a call at 15 seconds for each of you to address your two opponents. You can split that time however you see. 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I will let you know 15.
Everyone move into view over here.
Yeah, everyone step into frame, please. I'm staying out of frame so my wonderful suit doesn't distract the audience from your all's great arguments.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty good. So once again, 1 minute 30 for each of you moving down the row this way. And you can split that time to address your opponents however you see fit. And then we will move into 5-minute question and answer for this final. And you will have 20 seconds to respond to each question. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So 1 minute and 30 seconds for Jesse and James begins now.
Okay, so while I agree that your two pairings are very close and clearly very compatible, I just don't think that they're as resourceful as Jesse and James are. And plus they don't have their own theme song. So that I think is a big point in Jesse and James's favor. But as I was saying, Jesse and James can pretty much come up with whatever they need to get themselves out of any scrape at any time. If they need a rocket launcher, they'll find one. If they need a hot air balloon, they'll find one. If they need a submarine, they'll find one, and they'll do it together as a team. And so I think this says very good things about their ability to deal with a giant kaiju, because whatever they need, they're probably going to be able to get it, and then they're going to fight the monster and be totally in sync while they're doing it. That's all I got.
All right. 1 minute and 30 seconds for Statler and Waldorf begins now.
All right, let's address memory for a bit. So, Cap and Bucky share a ton of memories from World War II era, but Bucky unfroze a long time before Cap did. Cap has no memories of anything that happened in the 90s at all, but Bucky probably has some, a lot involving the torture and stuff, but even before that, he probably has some memories of things going on that Cap has no idea what's going on there. That would just confuse him. That would throw him way off. Jesse and James, they've been working together for a few years now, but they each had their own backstories. James had a very intense backstory that Jesse knew nothing of, about that whole deep connection with Chimeco. James and Chimeco, no, that's a really good compatibility thing. But without knowing that, without knowing James's full history, Jesse would be confused going into the drift when their minds mesh together, and it would just be weird. It also just feels weird having them in the Jaeger without me out.
Okay, and then 1 minute and 30 seconds for Cap and Bucky begins now.
We're blasting off again. Those are the famous words that Jesse and James constantly scream out time to time. Know why? Because they are prone to failure. They fail at everything. They've been chasing a 10-year-old kid who doesn't in his yellow rat for like nearly 10 or 20 years. They're gonna somehow end up connecting to each other. They probably didn't plug in the wires wrong. As for let's see,
Stellar and Waller.
Yeah, those two. They're old. Okay, they probably can't remember that far. All right. And you say that Winter Soldier is, yes, he may be in the 90s and stuff. He's not there for that long. As soon as he finishes a mission, they freeze him again until he's needed again. And so he's practically in the same position as Captain America at that point. You know. Well, so the point is that actually I think I made my point.
All right. So we will now move into a. Please don't zoom in. Thank you. A 5-minute question and answer section where each of you will have 20 seconds to respond, and I will give you a call at 15 seconds. We will have 5 remaining. All right. So I will begin in this side of the room. Kyle.
For everyone, right before you end your enemy Jaeger, what's the cool ass one-liner they say?
All right. So starting with Jesse and James, 20 seconds. Spend as much thinking as you need.
I think
They're blasting off again.
I don't know.
No! It's a joke question. All right. Okay. Okay, let's reset the chairs for a moment. Let's all take a quick breather. Okay, let's hop back into it. So can you restate the question?
What is the cool one-liner you say right before you end the Jaeger?
Their piloting's not half bad. It's all bad.
All right.
I get that reference.
All right, I like it. All right, moving forward.
How would Sattler and Waldorf react to a kaiju evolving did not hear them heckling? Like it didn't have ears to hear them heckling.
They heckle for that then.
It would just know.
It just knows, yeah.
Okay. Moving through. Okay, back. All right. Are there any more questions for Sattler and Waldorf and Cap and Bucky before the final vote? Okay. Let's move into the final vote to decide the champion of the Drift Compatibility Thunderdome. I will have both of you turn around, and I will count the votes silently. All right. So first for Sattler and Waldorf.
Can I go first?
No. Oh, did she say her vote? Okay. All right. So.
I think that wins.
And then for Cap and Bucky. Okay, hands down. Turn around.
And the winner is Sattler and Waldorf. Muppets or Sci-Fi.
Now someone has to make art of that.
All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up to our Drift Compatibility Thunderdome. We hope that everybody had a good time here. We still have the room for a little bit longer. You guys are more than welcome to hang out for 15 seconds in here. We're going to do some closing announcements, so if you guys just want to hang out here while we go through those. But thank you, everyone, for showing up.
All right, so quick thing, if you guys want memberships, movie tickets, Starfest tickets, Valentine's, talk to Tulio on the way out. If you got anyone that has to poster or is volunteered to poster, pick up posters at the front table here. Have a good night.
All right, thank you, everybody.